All right, it's gonna take a minute. And it's public. चलें ठीक है अच्छा अब इसको मैं so the YouTube sometimes if there is an echo it's
you didn't hit play.
yes no we don't want to because अगर आप बोलेंगे ना तो यहाँ से स्पीकर से echo जाएगी so इसको पास होना है
Oh,
yeah so
so they
okay.
can still see us?
Yeah so I mean there's nobody right now online even though I sent the link
That's okay. So,
but yeah so I guess we can start yeah and we can still share the screen so when people do join
Assalamualaikum.
all right so I'm gonna share yes the same sister do you remember
I
her
remember her.
yeah all
My
right.
memory's not that bad.
It's okay good yeah, so I'm gonna let you now get started and then you can start in Zoom you'll see when people join you'll see here admit you'll see to admit yeah and in Zoom let's just make sure where's the oh yeah video
Oh,
so it's just
video come.
हाँ वीडियो कर देंगे देखें ये हाइड हो जाती है ना तो अगर किसी को एडमिट करना हुआ तो इसको टच करके एडमिट but I'm gonna go and you can start the video and the discussion but yeah I guess I'll do the introduction
Yeah.
let me first test the Zoom link
Oh, you want?
yeah hold on
Yeah, no, that's great.
Hello, testing. Yeah.
No, you can sit there.
That's good.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to our last and final tax workshop for tax season 2025, filing for 2024. So this is, we are students at SOBA. This is where we learn our Islamic knowledge for tafsir, hadith, on how to be beneficial to our communities using Islamic practices of ihsan and spreading goodness. So to graduate, this is our first year in Islamic seminary. So in order to graduate, one of the projects we had to undertake was something called capstone project, where we have to go out in the real world and put our studies in practice. So this is where our tax workshop and tax filing came about when I learned that TurboTax and other mainstream platforms, they spend millions of dollars. They've spent a total of $93 million since 2003, lobbying against Americans and against IRS for making tax filing simple for all Americans. So right now we are here to have all of ethical alternatives, especially with a lot of things that are going on in the world. We are looking to support companies or to utilize companies that are ethical. So that's where it comes a platform called Free Tax USA, where they believe in the same values we believe in. And it's our recommended simple to use 100% free platform that was started by two brothers. I don't know how some years back.
Yeah, 2001.
2001. Yeah, so this workshop, we have professional CPAs. Mashallah, they have dedicated their time and their skills over the last 2 months into providing free services to the community. So we have Brother Ali, who is a CPA who has his own business as well. But one day a week, he dedicates his time to serve the creation of Allah. And we have Brother Sharik. Alhamdulillah, he's a giant in our community of champions. He does a lot of volunteer work, and alhamdulillah, I'm so happy to have our team of CPAs here. We have another brother. He's coming all the way from Austin today. So it's actually these slides are his. So inshallah, when he comes in, I'll introduce him. But he's originally also he's from Kenya, and alhamdulillah, our team of CPAs, they have the right motivation to serve the community in order to please Allah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm another student here at SOPA. I'm her classmate. And another thing that another important part of this workshop is we want to empower people to do it on their own. Sorry, I'm so tired. We want to empower our community. This is unnecessary, but we want to empower our community to be able to do it on our own. So we don't have to go to places like TurboTax or other people to pay for what we can do on our own. As these brothers will know, we're not trying to take their business. There are some reasons you're going to need a CPA. But there are, most people can do it with simple returns, can follow on their own. So we want to just empower you guys, people in our community, to be able to do it on their own instead of relying on others, inshallah. Inshallah.
So with that, we're gonna first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through a slide deck and show you different scenarios in your life that you may come across, and how to handle and file taxes. And then later on, we're gonna have Sister Mauna. She's gonna lead a live demo on Free Tax USA, where she's gonna walk you through step-by-steps on how you can file your own taxes. And then if there are people who do need complex tax filing, we have another demo at the end for towards Tax Act. But that will be if we have some folks who do need help with that.
Can I ask a question? Is there anyone that needs to file today or planned on filing their taxes today? Do you have your documents?
Perfect.
No one else, everyone's here just for education?
Yeah. So with that, thank you so much, and please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ali Tamanna. As sister mentioned, I'm a CPA. So I will go through these slides and hopefully answer some questions for you guys if you have any. All right. As Sister Bushra said, this was the slide of the other CPA. He should be here in a few minutes. All right. So today we're going to go through the different types of taxes that may apply. So the next slide. So this is the different types of taxes that we can have. Do I need to unmute this? It's red.
Seems like you're trying. Can you
The green bar.
yeah, just hover over it. You can do the video.
Okay.
Click on video so people can see you. I don't know if anybody's on,
Yeah.
but you'll be on video.
Okay. All right. So this is the different tax structures and deductions. So, I mean, of course, the most common is anybody who's a W-2 employee. Obviously, you know, this is where you work for an employer. They send you a W-2 at the end of the year. Their deadline is the 31st of January. We'll see that on the next slide. And so you use that to file your taxes. 1099, those are also employees of companies, but they're contractors. So you're not getting benefits, but you know, you just get paid. So another thing on W-2 is you are paying Social Security, Medicare taxes that's getting deducted. Of course, your employers also. And if I'm saying something that you're not understanding, please feel free to stop me and I can go into more details. But I think it's pretty most people probably would know, but I'm just going to give you a summary. So W-2, as I said, you have your federal income taxes withheld, Social Security, Medicare, and then 1099, there's no taxes withheld. So you are responsible to show those taxes when you file. Okay. So S corporations, this is when if somebody has a business and you know, I can go into more details about it, but I'm just going to give a summary. So you have a business, you cannot have more than 100 shareholders, and you would like some tax savings. So, and again, but it has to make sense at a certain income level. Not everybody should. Go ahead. Oh, thank you. So not everybody would need to do S corporation, but it helps with some tax savings. And as I said, we can go into more details later. C corporation, similar to an S corp, but you can have more shareholders, different types of shareholders. You can have a preferred, what they call preferred shareholders, preferred stock, common stock, right? Common stock. Yeah. And so you have more flexibility, but C corporation, one of the Downside is there's double taxation because when you get dividends issued, so most of the bigger companies are C corporation, like Exxon and Shell and all the big companies are mostly going to be C corporation. S corporation, as I mentioned, is only up to 100 shareholders. So, and then self-employed, sole proprietor. So this is if somebody has their own business and they are not an S corp or a C corporation. This is, I think, one of the most confusing. Most of the questions that I get is about this. Okay, everybody says, well, I'm an LLC. Okay, let me clarify what LLC means. LLC just means you're registering with the state of Texas if you're in Texas or any state you're in. LLC, all it does is you're registering your business and you're protecting your personal assets. So you're saying, okay, this is a separate entity from me. So this way, only thing that let's say you start your LLC and then you have a bank account. So let's say if somebody is to, sue you, let's say on a court case, they can only go after your bank account, the business account. They cannot go after your house. That's why you create the LLC for personal asset protection. So that's what LLC is. Then if you don't specify on a form when you are setting up with the IRS will just default you to an individual. So when you file your taxes, you will just file your Form 1040, which is the individual tax return, and you will put all your expenses under Schedule C. Okay. But once you get up to a certain level in your business, then it may be good for you to go to an S corporation. But doesn't mean you have to do that because there's additional costs with an S corporation. You have to run payroll, then you'll have two tax returns. It creates complications. So it's not like everybody should do S corp. That's not, because there are some small disadvantages. Hobby activities, this is basically, you have a business, but it's not really, you don't really have much income and it's just a hobby. So, there's there's no reason to show it on the tax return. So deductions and depreciation, we're going to talk about that. Earned income credit, earned income tax credit. So this is for mostly if you're low income, and I believe low income, correct me if I'm wrong, Shali, what is it, like 70, is married filing jointly with 2 kids the most? 70, I think, right? Is the kind of the phase out. So meaning if you make over 70, you're not getting this. Okay. Home office rule. So this is where, let's say if you have your own business, a self-employed, as I mentioned, an individual, you have an LLC and you're filing as an individual tax, you can deduct, and again, same thing with an S corporation or even a C corp if you would do that. Let's say you have deductions, let's say you have house expenses for, let's say, your property tax, your home insurance, you can deduct a percentage, not 100%, because you're saying I'm using my home for, let's say, 15% of my home is being used for business. And you can do it based on square footage. You can do it, but I would recommend not go above like 20%, you'd say.
Yeah, so like include utilities, your
use
utilities,
utilities.
your internet, those kind of things,
Yeah.
And supplies, of course.
Yeah. And then of course, employer obligations and local taxes. Employer, obviously, that's the company that has hired you. So as you already know, probably on your W-2, when you get it, you have your Social Security and Medicare taxes withheld. So that's your portion, but the employer also has to pay their portion. Okay. So they will pay that. You don't have to worry about that when you're filing your taxes, but just know that they're also paying, then you're paying the other half. So when you have a business, now you're paying both. That's what happens. That's why businesses tend to have a bit more complications. And local taxes, I guess that's more like sales taxes. There's unemployment tax, but unemployment tax is only for if you have a business. Okay. Any questions before I move on from this? Oh, okay. All right, so W-2, as I mentioned, W-2, you will get the W-2 statements. Your employer is supposed to send it to you by January 31st. Of course, we all know sometimes that doesn't happen, so you have to contact them and get it from them. And if there's a correction that is needed, they will correct it so it will still come on a W-2, but the form will be called W-2C. W-4 is where you're telling your company how much taxes you want withheld for federal income tax. Remember, on the W-2, there's federal income tax. When you file your 1040, that's what you are filing for. Social Security, Medicare, if you've deducted the right amount, there's no issues there. You don't have to worry about it when you're filing your tax return right now. So the reason the W-4 is important is that's where you tell your employer, okay, how much do I want to deduct? So let's say if you are the most common, if you're married, filing jointly, you have 2 kids, okay, I want to deduct, let's say $1,000 a year, for example. So you have to follow that. There's instructions on that form. You have to follow the instructions, and it will deduct from every paycheck. And so then at the end of the year, when you file your taxes, like right now, if you owe more, obviously, then you will pay. If you deducted too much, you will just get the money back. But obviously, you gave the government a loan. But it depends on everybody. Everybody is different. So, and then itemized deduction versus standard deduction. This one was, I would say, especially at least for W-2 employees, is not a big deal at this time, because most people, I would say only 10%, right, Saiful,
Right.
at this point,
Right.
only 10% of people they're doing itemized deductions versus, so standard deduction for a single is like 14,000. Married filing joint is like 29,000, and of course there's head of household, there's married filing separately, but those are the most common ones. So let's say if that's what.
Yeah, I'm gonna say itemized deduction used to be very popular before when the medical threshold was 7.5% of the expenses. Now it's gone up to 10%. So that's very few people qualify. Also, the mortgages, mortgage interest, and the other expenses related to that. Those, if you have a high mortgage, yes, you may be able to get into that threshold. We started itemizing it. But as Ali is saying, most of the people are not doing standard deductions. So even the charitable deductions used to be that you could claim a lot, but now thresholds have gone up, so it's just that much difficult to use this charitable deductions.
I always want to interrupt people, but I don't do it just to be polite. I always hear people say, well, you can deduct this charity on your taxes. And I want to say, well, if you itemize, but I just don't say anything. So I'm just making sure, just to make one thing clear, most people will do standard deduction, and that makes your taxes so much easier. The government is basically saying, okay, let's say you made let's say you made 100,000, and then out of the 100,000, you're single, 14,000 will not get taxed if you're single. If you're married filing jointly, then, let's say 30,000. So 70, you will get taxed on the 70,000. That's what the standard deduction is. Now, if your itemized deduction, like what Brother Sharik mentioned, if it's more than 30,000, then it would be advisable to do the itemized deductions, but that's not the case mostly. Okay, employer obligations, filing pay slips and W-4. Okay. So yeah, as I mentioned, W-2 and W-3. So SSA is Social Security Administration. So those are again, this is not a requirement for individuals. This is a requirement for the employers that they have to do that by January 31st. And then the employers also have to file. And again, if you have a business, yes, you would do the same thing. You would file a Form 941 and a form for payroll taxes. And again, the payroll taxes, as I mentioned, Social Security, Medicare, pay stub requirement, detailed pay. So you have so yeah, you have to have pay stubs, which need to show the wages, taxes, and deductions. At this point, you could do this manually, but I would definitely recommend using one of the services. There's Gusto Payroll, there's ADP, there's so many. I'm saying as a business owner, if you want to do this, if you are an S corporation, you would run payroll. I recommend hiring a CPA or a tax professional to do this. Or you can also, again, not to run payroll, but at least get some advice on which one to use. And I guess you can use those payroll systems, ADP and Gusto, and then they will basically run on their own. And so you don't have to worry about any compliance issues, because I have seen um, when these things become a problem, this is a big mess. And so it's not worth uh not it's to me it's not worth being cheap on stuff like this, you know. But again, as I said, this is for only business owners. W4 compliance, that's we already covered that. When you first get hired, or you can update if you, let's say you have a if you have an addition to the family, like you have a child, then you can update your W4 and it will determine how much tax they take out. And obviously it's important to meet deadlines, because otherwise there will be penalties. Okay, for the employer, this is more for the employer. 1099, so this is where most companies, so I guess the most common example that I can give is, like, let's say somebody's working for DoorDash or Uber, or you could work for a CPA firm, and let's say they don't want to hire you on as a full-time employee, because if you hire somebody on as a full-time employee, they have to pay you, they have to pay for your benefits, they have to do payroll, and it's more cost. So for cost reasons, companies will hire people as contractors. And so then they will issue a form called 1099 NEC, 1099 non-employment compensation. And so then when you file your taxes, you will show that form. So make sure that that form is accurate. Obviously, if you think that it's not accurate, you need to let your company know, and they should send you an amendment. But one thing that we have noticed during our tax workshops is people were wanting to show the 1099. Is that right? Oh, yes.
Sure. These are his slides. And so please welcome him. He's coming all the way from Austin today for our workshop.
Maybe I will exit after this thing.
No, continue.
So, no, I think because you may have more to add, some stuff. So one of the things that we noticed while we were doing these tax filings and the tax workshop, is people were wanting us to do their taxes on their 1099s. So, okay, that's fine. We can do it, right? But you can also deduct expenses against your 1099 income. And unfortunately, that just takes some time, and you have to have good records. And we were like wanting to file for them, but I advised them, hey, if you file, you're just showing your income, but you're not reducing your taxable income, and you can do it. Like, for example, if you're driving Uber, your gas expenses and car expenses, you can deduct those. But if you don't track it, then you're just guessing. And obviously you need to be conservative to avoid audits, because the last 5 years it used to not be like this. The IRS is coming after more small businesses. They're not that's what has been happening the last few years. So I would always caution people not to go overboard. You have to be truthful in what you deduct. And so you should have your record keeping should be good. I'm not saying it has to be perfect. Like, let's say you have a mileage log, you're driving, okay, you can just have an Excel sheet, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend a lot of money on it, but have some records. So when you get audited, or even when you're about to file your taxes, you have the information ready to go. So let's say you have a business, you take clients out for lunch or dinner, you should have receipts, mileage logs, like I mentioned, and you should also and this quarterly payments, they're required. So every quarter you need to make payments. Otherwise, when you file your taxes, you will have some penalties and interests. Okay. And then the most common deductions are home office. As I mentioned, if you're using your home for a certain percentage of your business, you have a home office, you can deduct that. Utilities, of course, the vehicle expense. And then depreciation is if you have an asset, Like, let's say you have a business, let's say you own a rental property. You can take the depreciation on that. And like, again, I think when you get up, if you have a business, you should not, I think that's time when you should hire a tax professional. Because yes, you could do it on your own, but to me, that's the time when you need to think about the cost benefit, because you will just end up paying more or you may make mistakes. And then, per diem for travel expenses. So, ठीक आपका इसके बाद description पर. Okay, चलो कुछ add करना तो बता दो. Okay, all right, I'm gonna move to the any questions on this?
On the back slide, what's the difference between W2, W3, and W4?
Yeah. W2 is the form that shows your income, right? Like you will get a form that basically is showing you how much your income was. W4 is the form you fill out when you first start a job with your company. They give you a form to fill out which says how much taxes you need to deduct. And again, I'm talking about federal income tax. And W3 is, I think, Social Security, right? Not sure, right?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
The Social Security form.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So but you will never have to worry about W3. This is more for employers.
So usually W2, if I'm an employee to someone, they give me W2,
That's right.
which shows all the income and everything what I made, and I file the taxes on the basis of W2
Mhm.
that I get from my employer.
Yes, and on the W2, it will show your income.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be in box 1, and it shows how much was withheld for your federal income tax. Okay. Then it also shows your how much was deducted for Medicare and Social Security. Okay. And again, as I said, they're there. If you deducted the right amount, you don't have to worry about it. That will have no impact when you're filing your taxes. But let's say if you were short somehow, somebody made a mistake, it can happen. Then you would also pay those Social Security and Medicare taxes when you file your taxes. But most of the time, 90% of the time, 99% probably, you don't have to worry about the Social Security and Medicare taxes.
Yeah, it gets a bit complex if you have retirement plans like 401k and you're deducting every month from your salary to the 401k. Still straightforward, but when you start getting money back towards you, then you try to cash your 401k or retirement plans, then it gets a bit complex because that you have to figure out is it really that's coming back as your taxable income.
Okay. So S corporation. So as I said, S corporation, it's a pass-through entity. So what that means is the S corporation, there are some small exceptions, but S corporations for the most part will not pay taxes. What will happen is whatever the profits you have on the S corporation, they will flow to your individual tax. Okay. But if you have an S corporation, you should not be filing on your own, in my opinion. You need to hire a tax professional. Okay. So you can only have up to 100 US shareholders. Either they have to be US citizens or permanent resident, green card. Limited liability, again, that you have filed that with the state. You have to have the articles of incorporation. So this is when you first start your company, the company setup, who are the shareholders, what is their title, owner, director, managers. Form 253 is the form that you fill out to elect to be an S corp. So if you don't file this form, the IRS or the government will think that you're an individual. So even if you file your LLC with the state of Texas, if you don't file this form 2553, you're just individual. So when you file your taxes, you file 1040, and then you have to fill out on Schedule C. Now the problem with 1040 is you will probably pay more taxes, especially if you have income in excess of maybe 100,000. Let's say I'm talking about profit. So it's advisable maybe at the 100,000 level, if you have a business where your profit is 100,000, let's say, to be an S corporation, because then you can pay yourself right here a reasonable salary. And this 100,000 amount that I give, others may disagree, maybe it's more 40, 50, it depends. But you don't need to do this S corporation unless you're at a high profit, in my opinion. But this is this is something that other people may have different, they may say, well, it should be lower, let's say. But so reasonable salary. So what will happen is on an S corporation, what you can do is, let's say you made 100,000 profit. Well, you can pay yourself, let's say 50,000, because that's the reasonable salary for what you're doing. And then you will get taxed, your payroll taxes will be on the 50,000 instead of 100,000. So does that make sense? I know it's a bit confusing. So let's say if you were an individual being taxed as an individual, if you have 100,000 profit from your business, you would pay Social Security, Medicare tax for the 100,000. But if you do an S corporation election on Form 2553, you will only pay the Social Security, Medicare taxes on the 50,000, because that's you only paid yourself 50. So that's one advantage. And then same like this is same like individuals. You can also deduct your office expenses, travel expenses, supplies. And that's similar to individuals have the same thing. But this is the one big advantage of S corporations. And then home office expenses and then depreciation. Let's say you buy a car for your business. And again, these rules change. You can elect Section 179 deduction. And again, we can spend a lot of time on this. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to just move on. But basically, just think of it as, let's say you buy a big asset, you can deduct that asset, the cost of that asset. Now, the reason why then there could be some, it's a bit tricky because how something gets treated for tax purposes could be different versus how it gets treated for book purposes. Meaning when you're doing your bookkeeping for your business, it could be that for tax purposes, you've deducted the whole cost of the asset, but for book, you've only done, let's say 10%. So again, this is why I say, once you're at this stage, you need to hire a tax professional.
Yeah, I think I'm going to add something that what we're seeing quite a bit is that it's okay to set up as corporation. But when you start to add a partner or take away a partner, then it starts to get complex. That's why in the articles of incorporation, they have to be very clear to say that we're going to have 100% ownership, we're going to add now 50% at 33, another partner at 33% dilution. So then when people start, something goes well, something doesn't go well, come out, a partner wants to buy a portion. So these percentages and tax returns and financial statements are very important to keep a very clear and very good accounting plan.
Okay. We're going to move on now to the C corporation. I mean, this one probably doesn't really, it's good that we're talking about it, but I don't think this is going to apply to many people. But this is more for the bigger companies. So the advantage of a C corporation is that, again, as I mentioned before, most of the bigger companies are C corporation. Like the company that I work for, they're a manufacturing company, so I'm a controller for them. And of course, they're a C corporation. We have thousands of shareholders, okay, in my company. So, and it's different types of shareholders. So C corporation, so what happens when you have shareholders, of course, the reason for that is, right, companies want cash. So you get the flexibility of different, many people to invest in your company, but there are, of course, as you all guys already know, if there's something good, there's going to be a little bad. So then there's double taxation. So let's say the corporation earns 100,000, they will pay tax on that. And then when a portion of that income is given to the shareholders as dividends, they will also pay tax. So this is one of the disadvantages of a C corporation. Like with an S corp, the profits are just sent on a form called, I should have mentioned that earlier, on a form called K1 to the individual, and then they pay the tax. But here on a C corporation, the C corporation will pay the tax, and then whenever any dividends are paid out to the owners, the shareholders, they will also pay tax on their individual tax return. Because if you guys have any, let's say you have Fidelity account with 401k, you will get that statement. So it will be, it's similar to that. Again, same like the S corporation, you also have to have articles of incorporation. And yes, and then you have to have records of the board meeting. So let's say if you want to, let's say there's an event, let's say you hire a new audit firm, because of course C corporations, they have more stringent audit requirements. So let's say you hire a new auditor or a new tax firm, then you have to uh, mention those changes during the board meetings. And so, of course, when you are in a public, when you are selling your stocks in public, the investors would like to see all that. Okay, what's going on, right? Because if I'm investing money in a company, I would like to know how they're doing, what changes are happening. Like for example, the biggest change I can think of is when for Apple, I think in 2011, 2012, when Steve Jobs retired, the stock tanked because when he retired, obviously people were like, well, can he be replaced, right? So that affects the stock prices. So that's why it's good for investors to know what the changes are. And the tax form for C corporation is Form 1120. For S corporations, it's Form 1120S. And for individuals, you just file on the Form 1040. Deductions, okay, and then, same like this S corporation is pretty similar. Operating expenses, you can deduct salaries, the rent for the building that you're leasing, or let's say if you own the building, there would be depreciation. Employee benefits, like let's say the company is paying for health insurance, you can deduct that. Retirement plans, and then of course travel expenses and vehicle expenses. Any questions on this? All right, self-employed sole proprietorship. So this is probably the most common one. This is when you're getting taxed as an individual, you will pay your taxes, as I mentioned, income and expenses reported on Form 1040, Schedule C. Okay. So again, it's owned by an individual. Now, let's say if there's two people, the default is then you will be taxed as a partnership. And so then there's another Form 1065 needs to be filed. That's taxed very similar to an S corporation. So let's say if it's one person, 1040 Schedule C, but if it's two people, it's considered a partnership by default. You don't have to file anything with the IRS. That's what the default will be. And same thing here, if you have profit, if you expect profit, you should be making quarterly payments to the IRS. And again, it can be an estimate. You can pay up to I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you can pay up to like 100, as long as you make quarterly payments up to 100% of your prior
90%.
is 90, yeah.
Yes, so that
There's
the
no
problem is that if you don't pay, then you end up paying penalties and interest later on. So the IRS wants the money upfront rather than being paid later on. So that's logic behind it.
And same thing like the other entity types, you can deduct your home office expenses, the vehicle expenses, depreciation, office supplies, software utilities. So this probably applies more to us here than the other entities. So any questions on this?
So, in the previous slides, you mentioned and explained the 1099 self-employed thing. So is that related to each other, or this is a totally different self-employment tax filing and that is another different?
Or that's
Secondly-
this.
Okay.
That's this.
So,
The 1099, yes.
that's the same thing.
The 1099 is shown on Schedule C.
All right, okay. And when you say quarterly payments, we are filing 4 times in the whole year.
No, you
To IRS.
no, you make an account with the IRS. It's like a IRS payment account,
Okay,
and you make an account and you pay them every quarter. And the deadlines are like quarter one deadline for 2026. So 2025 taxes is April 15th. And I think the Q2 is like June something. I don't remember now, but again, I'm not saying you have to do this. Okay. We are recommending to do it to avoid penalties and interests. Okay. If you don't do it, what will happen is when you file your taxes, you will just have to pay penalties. That's because they're like, hey, you were supposed to pay us. And and we can go through the calculation, but it would take too long here.
so So filing a tax and paying to IRS, they are two different things?
Yes.
Oh.
So when you go to a tax professional, what happens is, let's say you owe the IRS money. Again, every tax professional may do it differently. You will give them your bank account. Let's say you owe them money. They will enter it in the tax software, and the funds will get taken out of the bank. Okay, but most tax professionals will not. It's you have to get a bunch of authority letters, and so most tax professionals will not make the quarterly payments for you because of confidentiality reasons. And it just because they don't want to have responsibility for your bank, right? They don't want to be taking funds out of your bank. It creates liability concerns. So in those instances, again, this is only if you have a business. Okay. In those cases, you should be making quarterly payments. Okay.
But filing only once in the,
Filing only once.
okay.
And I'm saying at the time you file, you can also pay at the same time for, let's say, 2020, like right now, you can pay for 2024,
Okay.
right?
Right, so the idea is to prepare quarterly financial statements. The financial statement will tell you how much net income you have made and how much taxable income. Of that taxable income, you pay that amount to the IRS every quarter. That does not mean that you have to file with tax with the whole form every quarter, but you have to prepare the tax forms.
Right. And the deadlines are also different for the individual and the business.
Yes.
Well, individual, typically a company is paying for it.
Like
right?
15th is coming, that is only for individuals, or that is for everyone, the 15th of April.
Oh, that's for individuals.
Okay.
Yes,
And for the self-employed?
okay, so self-employed, you're also filing, it's basically the same thing, right? You
Oh,
are,
same thing,
yeah.
Okay.
So now when we say,
For everybody, right?
yes, so.
Yeah, let me make
File.
that.
Right,
Not to pay.
Yeah, so the tax, that's a good point. Okay, so let me make one thing very clear. Yeah, let's make it clear, so because maybe it's confusing. Okay, so the deadline for S corporation and partnership returns is March 15th. Individual, like this example here, sole proprietorship, it's April 15th. Okay. And then C corporations is it
April 15th.
is it April?
Yes.
Yeah, C corporation is also April 15th. Again, that's the filing. Filing and paying is separate.
Right.
Okay. They're not, yes, when you are filing your taxes, you can also pay at that same time. But what maybe it's confusing because we're talking about paying quarterly, but this is you're making quarterly payments for the year that you're in. So like right now, if you were to make a payment for you're making quarterly payment for 2025. So you can avoid penalties and interest when you file the taxes next year. Right?
Yeah.
But maybe just for simplicity's sake, let's say that right now you're filing your 1040 Schedule C, you need to pay your taxes by April 15th. Now, there's something you can do. You can extend your tax filing. Then you can file by October 15th, I think. However, you still need to pay. So to me, it's like pointless. I don't know why, unless it's very complicated. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, to add something. I used to collect taxes. I am not a professional, but when you're on the collection side, you know a little bit, of the ins and outs and how it goes. And the IRS only cares about you paying on time. Like that, they want their money on time. That's like you said, you can file an extension to file later, but that's not an excuse to pay late. They still want their money and the taxes due on the 15th. So the reason for estimated payments is to prevent for when taxes is due on the 15th, you have to make a huge payment and to have late payment penalties. So that's why you make quarterly payments towards your business so that when it's time to come, you only have to pay, whatever you miscalculated, or you might get a refund but because the IRS wants their money on time, that's why you want to make estimated. They don't care. The filing is fine. They'll give you the extension for filing, but they want their money on time. Was that right?
Yep,
You guys
perfect.
Correct me.
No, that's perfect. Yep. That's good. All right. Any questions on this? Okay. Hobby activities. So activities pursued just for personal pleasure, deduction only up to the amount of income earned. And then the limitations are so you don't get any depreciation or home office deductions. And you must deduct all on income and expenses. I don't think this applies to many people, at least here. additional tax concepts, earned income credit. So as I mentioned earlier, this is for taxpayers more under like 70,000 if you're married filing jointly with 2 kids. But there is a tax table which will tell you what these limitations are. And so it like if you told me this is my situation, it's different for everybody. So, but just a general rule is if you're making above 70,000, you're not getting this credit basically. So, and again, this number keeps going up because they adjusted for inflation. Okay. Depreciation, yeah, I think we've covered this. So you can do maker's depreciation. So you can depreciate assets over 5 years, 3 years, 7 years. Then there's buildings, maybe 30 years, depending on what type of asset it is. And then section 179, this is where you can, so you also have the section 179 option. Then there's something called bonus depreciation. There's something called straight line. There's so many different types of depreciation. This is when you have depreciation questions, hire a tax professional or a CPA. Home office deductions, we've already covered that. Utilities, property taxes, insurance. And then if you have any vehicle deduction expenses, repairs. So one thing I do want to mention about the vehicle expenses. So you can either do standard mileage deduction or actual. You cannot do both. Okay. So let's say if you are driving, let's say I know I keep using the Uber example, but let's say you're driving. So you will have, let's say 50,000 miles of drive, let's say. Then the IRS every year issues a standard mileage rate. I think this year is like 65 cents, I believe. 65 cents of 50,000. So if that number is higher than your actual expenses, then you should use the standard mileage. Well, let's say if your business is not driving, then maybe actual expenses makes more sense for you. So like, let's say you have depreciation for the car, right? You could have repairs, you could have oil changes, gas. But I'm saying if you are driving more, then it makes sense for you to deduct standard mileage. And this is when you should be tracking it. Again, you can do it in an Excel sheet. And so, but if you don't track it and you just guess, I would not go overboard, obviously. You have to be careful. So anything you want to add to that?
That's correct. 65% or if your expenses are very high, repairs and maintenance and other things, something accident happens, that kind of stuff. So you should maintain all these receipts. Generally, expenses are, standard mileage works better, just generally. However, if there's repairs and maintenance expenses, then you need to use that portion.
Like for me, I have a CPA firm, right? And these guys also have it. So for us, probably mileage won't make sense. Okay. I mean, unless I'm always driving for clients but our cost is going to be more like software cost or, in insurance or, so we will just use vehicle expense, actual, whatever that is. We're not going to use.
For the CDL truck drivers,
I would recommend standard mileage.
right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yes. Any questions on this? Okay. Local, Sister Bushra, how much time do I have? I'm okay. I mean, we're almost done, right?
Yeah. Are you guys finding it beneficial?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and then after that, we'll take a break.
Okay. So local taxes and sales tax deductions. So choice of itemizing, you can deduct state, local income taxes or sales tax. Now, I mean, maybe I'm sure you guys know this already, but it bears mentioning. So so Texas does not have state income tax. Okay, but let's say if you are living in Illinois or California, New York, New Jersey, they have state income tax. Okay. So we don't have to worry about that here. But of course, we still have the income tax with the US government. And then we have, of course, sales taxes. Okay. So when you itemize, we don't have the state income tax to itemize. That's not something we can do here. But of course, if you have sales taxes, and as I mentioned, why itemize is not really used much anymore. The SALT cap, total deduction is now capped at 10,000. And 5,000 if you're married filing separately. Okay. Optional sales tax table. So IRS provides an amount, base amount based on income. So yeah, so IRS gives you an option to just keep file your taxes simple. You can just use a sales tax table, and then they will give you that deduction. But as I mentioned, this itemized deduction is not as common now. Major purchase, if you buy a car, yeah, you have additional sales tax. Any questions on this? Okay. All right. So yeah, so the deadlines for W-2, and again, those are for the employers. You have to issue the W-2 by January 31st, right? Because if people don't get their tax W-2 forms by, let's say, February 15th, it's hard to file your taxes on time. So it's all connected, right? And then 1099s also, they have to do that by, is that also January 31st, 1099s? So, and of course, any estimated tax payments, like we mentioned about the quarterly payments, you should make those to avoid penalties and interest when you're filing your taxes. So as I said, make sure you keep good records, receipts, logs for the mileage. And of course, if you're, let's say let's say you buy a laptop or you buy something for your business, you keep that invoice in case you get audited by the IRS. You will have records to support the deductions that you took. Because if you just take the deductions and when you get audited and you don't have those records, well, you have to pay it back. So common concerns, yeah. So and employers can make errors, and this is why I was mentioning, if you have a business and you want to issue payroll to your employees, just use the softwares to do your payroll taxes or your payroll. You don't want to do that manually. Like even me personally, I don't do it manually myself. And deduction limits, make sure that you understand deduction limits. But for the most part, these deduction limits, you will probably, if you have questions, yes, you can go on the IRS website, but it's probably a good idea to contact a CPA or tax professional to get help. The deduction limits are more complicated when it comes to like depreciation and dependent care. Just recently, I was dealing with a client, and he was questioning why he's not getting the credit for the dependent care. Like if you pay for your child's daycare, you can get a credit from the IRS, but there's limits. Home office, we already discussed that, and then yeah. So I think that's it. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
It seems simple when you filling out the W-4, but the different categories of married filing separately, head of household, married filing jointly, and then single. Like, what is the best breakdown? Because things change throughout the year, and what is? Because it seems like last year, W-4, it seemed like it changes every year.
Yeah.
To say, okay, I'm married, but then, okay, but it says if you this, then put this, and you're like, but I'm married, so what's the true breakdown of what to check off?
Okay, if you're married, the most advantageous tax or type that you should select is married filing jointly. You don't want to do married filing separately. Very few cases I have seen where you should do that. In fact, that was one of the interesting things that we found while we were filing taxes for people, is people were filing married filing separately for some reason because when you file married filing separately, correct me if I'm wrong, you cannot get the earned income credit anymore. So I don't know why you would do that. But anyway, so to answer your question, if you're married filing jointly is what you should select. Of course, if you're single, and if you are, let's say, single mom, single dad, then you could be head of household. And that's a more, you will get a higher deduction than a single, right? Single is, I think, 14, and head of household is maybe like 19. And then married filing jointly is a standard deduction of like 29 or 30, this in 2024. Yeah, so whatever your marital status is as of December 31st of 2024, that's what will apply.
Oh, okay.
So if something happens on January 2, well, what, there, it's like, it's,
So how, okay, so I'm just giving like that scenario, cause this is what I said was confusing between head of household, as you said, you're a single parent and then you was head of household. But if your spouse is not in the same country with you, how can you file married jointly if they don't have,
hmm,
the social security and
yeah,
filing jointly?
then maybe married filing separately, yes. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
So not a CPA again, I want to point that out, but the situation is one that we got a lot in collections.
Mm.
Where someone was overseas, they filed jointly. And they ended up owing when they found out like they shouldn't have filed that way because they don't have a social security number and they're not a resident of this, so that doesn't qualify for you if your spouse is in this country. Not even married filing separate, because technically you're not even married, right? You're not married to somebody who's gonna be also filing the tax return in this
Right.
country. So in this situation, and what we've learned is that it is okay to file for the household if your spouse is not a resident and is not making income here.
Correct.
That's just what I learned from the IRS side of it.
Yeah.
So that would be okay. But if he was here for any point of the year and did it, then you wouldn't qualify for that.
That's why I said it's so
So
confusing when you filling it out, you're like, how can you put jointly if they're not here?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that's a rare circumstance.
But yeah, that's yeah, I haven't had many, but yeah, that can happen, yes.
And that will only be applicable for the 2024, like they weren't here that year. So
Yes.
they're here now, 2025. and
That doesn't
it's
matter.
not.
That's
They
for 20.
wouldn't file
Right.
jointly because they weren't, because this is based off of 2024, not 2025, that they're here and they got their stuff and doing everything together.
Yeah. Or you have something, yes, ma'am, that's correct. You have something to add?
Yeah, so basically the W4 can be changed during the year. Now what the W4 is basically telling the employer what your status is. So, like a 1099 a person pays quarterly taxes over the year, over the course of the year. An employee pays that tax over the course of the year, 12 months. So what happens is you are telling your employer, deduct this much based on my condition. So let's say you're single. And then when you're single, the tax rate will be higher. So you'll see a higher tax being deducted from your payslip. Now, when you get married and then you say, okay, I'm married now, so that the tax rate actually decreases at that point. Now, the thing is, let's say you say I'm married when you start in January, and then you leave it like that, and then all of a sudden in June it becomes single. At the end of the year, you might realize that now you have to pay that tax because why is the employer gave you the benefit at that point of marriage, so they were basically basing the tax rate of the married person.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's a general question, but it just comes in my mind always that if I'm a US citizen living for a few years outside United States, living there, earning there,
Mhm.
filing taxes, where? In US or in the country that where I'm living? So that's
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you didn't earn income here in the US, you don't have to file here.
okay.
The-
We don't
the-
even have to report it.
But the global income applies.
Yes, yeah, a US citizen is supposed to report all tax
Mm.
anywhere in the world, including green card.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So I
So-
myself was an expat for a long time. So,
Okay.
yes, so there's a threshold of $100,000 income. The government gives an exemption until $100,000.
Now it's 121.
Sorry.
Now it's 121.
Okay, good, thank you.
Inflation.
Yes. So basically, the government is saying that it's okay if you earn outside. But we will not let you just get away with that. You still have to have file taxes and pay taxes for global income. So we come across these issues a lot of times, that people have green cards and, they have earnings in Pakistan, India, somewhere else that, should they be paying over here or not? It's a bit of a tricky question because, in all fairness, the law says that you should, file taxes that you pay. That's the law says that. However, there's certain countries that apply the rule that you were asking for, that if you pay in that local country, then you should get an exemption, for the US taxes as well. So you have to look into that, which country that
So-
applies to.
For instance, United Arab Emirates, Dubai is a tax-free country.
Right,
If I'm living there for 5 years, earning there,
right.
do I need to report this to United States government and to IRS?
Yes, that's simply correct. That's correct. And you get $120,000 exemption every year. So say,
If making more than 120,
Yes.
then I have.
then, well, you have to still report. I mean, you still have to report. Say if you're earning $200,000, you still have to report the entire income, but you get taxed on the 80,000 because 200,000 minus 120,000.
Say again, please.
So you will get a deduction
Yeah,
of the foreign income, foreign earned income.
yeah.
So, but that portion that you earned is taxable. So people have to be very careful. Nowadays, things are, now it's just recently we saw that the IRS, is no longer independent, So the government is sharing the information across the board for everybody, right? They're looking for remitters, they're looking for possible, violations of this kind of stuff, right? So you have to be very careful about how people file taxes and how the income is reported. So if you go to a CPA, no CPA will tell you that, that you should not file. It's a personal decision, but if you come to a CPA, certain laws have to be applied and you have to be very transparent. So it's, I mean, the law is very clear about that. Global income applies wherever you are it, but the government is also giving you exemption for that.
If it is more than, if it is less than 120, we get exemption.
Yes, that's correct.
After 120, we have to
That's
pay the tax.
exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe two questions in one. So, a scenario where has the dependents also going on for the W-4. When you budget the dependent where it says up to 17, right, I believe. The child turns 17, like October, right before. So would the W-4 have to change, like when you file it now, is it that the status is changing because they turned 18?
Mm.
They're no longer considered that under 17 bracket, or are they doing it for credit for up to the time of the year?
Yeah, it's just if the child at December, it's just like the single or the divorce that I was mentioning, the status is looked at as of December 31st. So if the
Okay.
child is above 19, I believe, or let's say the child turns 20, so then you're not gonna get the child tax credit anymore.
Okay, so they don't even filter, okay, they just turned 18. Okay, with that too, they got a job. Right before the end of the year, so let's say they didn't even make like 3,000. Can they file, or would they still file under the parent, as a dependent?
Yeah, so the limitation for that is are about 5,000 or 6,000. I would have to double check, but as long as they don't earn more than that, you can show them as a dependent.
So to add on to that, just because you claim them as a dependent doesn't mean that they can't or shouldn't file also. So they have a way to indicate that. So let's say your child, they're 17, they got a job and they took $20 out of federal income tax. They're still your dependent. So you're still gonna file and claim them, but they should also file so they can get that money taken back to them. And there's a place to indicate, I'll show you when I do my presentation, that it's gonna ask you, can you be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return? That child would indicate yes. If they're still gonna file and be claimed on that, please correct anything.
No, you're right, because then whatever federal income tax they did pay, they will get it back. But I believe not the Social Security and Medicare, though,
No,
not that.
Just the withholdings.
So basically, I can file for them as a dependent under me, and they can file individually for themselves, that's what you're saying?
Yes, if they need to.
That's what my daughter was saying, I was like, no, you're trying to get us arrested. And she was swearing up and down, like, yes, I was like, don't do it.
But there is a limitation, but the income, there is a limitation. If she earns above a certain income, then she cannot be your dependent. Yes,
Taxes. It's close, it's close.
It's different.
A higher tax rate.
Yeah.
If you choose to file separate versus joint, you're gonna pay more taxes versus file jointly.
So you pay more taxes for married filing?
Separate, yes.
No, she's talking about single
Oh,
versus single.
oh,
Single is-
I guess single is highest,
Yes.
but well, you should not do single if you're married though. I mean, I don't think you
The
can.
way, I'm telling you the way it's worded, because I'm speaking for myself. My husband at the time was not in the country. For my taxes, I put single.
Hmm.
The way the questions, it was like, if you this, then is this, and I was
file for
like,
2024 already?
no, not.
You
So.
gotta admit that.
So I don't know, it's super, I couldn't do jointly, I couldn't do separately. And I think head of household, I don't know, because it has in parentheses what you're supposed to put, so I didn't put head of household, I had to put single.
No, those are definitely because they're kind of an exception, so yeah, there is some gray area there, yes.
Other questions? Brother Ali, can you check, see if there's any in the chat?
Only one person.
There's only one person.
Tab green bar?
Oh, here.
Yeah. Don't see any
Okay.
changes.
I
Yeah.
have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if, when you have a sole prop LLC, you file that separately from your individual, is that included in your individual?
It's included in your individual, but it's filed under, you have to fill out additional forms. The form is Schedule C. That's where you can show your income and your expenses.
Even if it has a separate EIN?
Well, yeah. Well, it should have a separate EIN. That's why it's separate from the individual, because you have the EIN for that business.
It's a schedule with it.
Within the 10, yeah, you don't have to file another different tax form, no.
One more question, for businesses that, open SIP IRAs. If, let's say before they didn't have an LLC, and they wanted to open, like, let's say they're a sole prop without an LLC. And they want to contribute to the SIP IRA and they want to open the LLC. Are they no longer able to contribute because their income was considered like without under the LLC, or are they still able to contribute that percentage of income?
So SEP IRAs, you have, I believe, and I would have to double check, you have to have a business set up for you to be eligible to put it, because SEP IRA is for businesses, it's not for individuals. So if you don't have a business, you cannot contribute to a SEP IRA, SEP IRA yet. So, but that question, yes, a CPA may know, I'm not saying, but I think a better person would be a financial planner for that type of question.
Yes, I mean, from like so this is like a tax perspective.
But it's a tax deduction, yes.
Yeah, so my
Yes.
question is, so you're able to contribute a percentage of your income,
Yes.
towards it.
Yeah. I believe the limit is like 25% of your taxable income for your business, something like that, I think.
So my question is, let's say you want to open an LLC because prior you were classified as you didn't have that LLC filing done. So you were, it was a business. It was just a sole prop with
Okay, let me stop you right there, because again, you're saying what I was trying to clarify when I first started talking. So LLC has nothing to do with tax, okay? LLC is you just went to the Texas Secretary of State and said, I want to register my business. And this is my business assets, and I don't want people to come after my personal assets. Tax classification is if you don't elect for S corporation status or C corporation, you will get taxed as a sole proprietorship or individual tax on Schedule C of 1040. So if you have that already EIN, and then your EIN will be under the individual tax, as you're going to get taxed as individual. So if you have that, you can contribute to the SEP IRA because you're done. Yeah, you have a business.
Filing of the LLC is irrelevant as long as the income was.
No. I mean, you need the LLC because that's your business.
No, I know it's needed, but.
Yeah.
Let's say you didn't have it before, you have it now, as long as the income was there after business income.
Exactly. And your SEP IRA has to be set up under that business name though. Yeah, and then, yeah, it's a pretty good tax reduction. But of course, your money is stuck then until 59 and a half. But I mean, again, that's like tax planning. Do you want to do that? Do you need cash now? Because once you put it in the IRA, then you cannot take it out. Well, I mean, you can take it out, but there's going to be penalties.
When I was looking on the 1099 forms, there are 18 kind of 1099s. So I was confused that for a self-employed, which form should I utilize?
The most common ones are like employee 1099 NEC.
Okay,
But again, this is, you're going to get it from your employer. So then there's, I think, 1099K, which is, we've seen that, that's like, whenever you use a credit card, if you're driving an Uber and people are paying you by credit card, that's a 1099K, but that's not necessarily the form that you can use to file your taxes. But yeah, it gets complicated. But the most common one for you as an employee would be 1099 NEC. Correct me if I'm wrong.
no, but if I'm self-employed and let's say I'm driving Uber, then I should use 1099K.
No, no,
I'm
no,
a self-employed.
no, not you. Your company whose Uber will send you that form. It's their responsibility to send you that form. That's not your responsibility.
The company making the payments will send you the form.
Yeah, they have to send you the form.
So who is self-employed? Like, if I am working for myself,
No.
I should be called self-employed,
No.
right?
So let's say I hire you
Yeah,
to work in my CPA firm,
okay,
and you do some accounting work for me. But I don't want, but for cost reasons, I don't want to hire you as a W-2. So then what I will do is I will pay, and if I pay you $600 or more, then it is my obligation to issue a 1099 to you. So I, as the employer, will issue a 1099 to you.
And you're still self-employed. You're still.
Yeah, and you're self-employed.
No, you're. You a 1099, you're still self-employed.
okay, so that will be 1099 NEC.
Yes.
And then if I am working for myself and I want to use the form, then it will be 1099K.
No.
Who are you working for?
Are you saying your own business?
Yeah,
You don't have to worry about 1099 then. Then you will issue 1099 to anybody that you hire,
okay,
But you don't issue one to yourself.
but you do not issue one to yourself.
You're gonna indicate the income on the form. Tell
I'm sorry?
him. He's gonna indicate his income.
Yes.
On his 1040 for the.
1040 Schedule C.
Yeah.
If he did not elect S corporation status or C.
Does that make sense? As a self-employee, you're gonna put your income on yourself, see, not a 1099.
okay. Then what is 1099K?
That's what, if you're, as a self-employed person, if you're working for another company, they would issue that to you.
Okay,
So like Uber might issue you a 1099K because they gave you like some sort of incentive or something. I saw the incentives are on a different form, not the NEC. I don't remember, but so if you're working for someone else, they will give you the K.
okay. My wife, she owns a salon
Mhm.
and I'm working for her. So I'm self-employed.
Yes,
So what form should I use?
your wife should have given you a 1099. And if she did, you should report her to that.
Okay. Which form?
1099.
Okay.
1099.
NEC.
K or NEC or, because when I was looking, there are several kind of 1099s. So
Whatever
I'm
software she uses
confused.
to pay her employees, like she would know which one that she, depending on, right?
Yeah, depending on what it is.
Can you stop sharing on the Zoom? I don't know if they care, but they can't see your screen anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay, he's just telling us, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking it up. So 1099K, if your customers or clients pay you by credit card. So this is not really anything to do with income per se to somebody that you hire to do work for you. So your wife should issue you a 1099 NEC. Yeah. Because then that is actually a deduction for her from her business income. Yeah. Okay. And then when you file your taxes, you and your wife, you will show that as income, of course. Right? But you got the tax benefit in that for her business. She was able to deduct the expense, but then you still have to show it as income because it was you. But of course, if she hired somebody else, like somebody, then she just gets a deduction, and of course, you don't have to show any income, you know? Does that make sense? Yeah, in fact, my company, we got a 1099-K. And because when we collect payments from our customers, we use the credit card machine, right? And so we didn't show that. We just, it's more informational. Okay. I can start sharing again, but yeah, I think it's fine.
These are all very good questions. I hope it all benefited you all. Now we're gonna take about 10-minute break. Let's see. Yeah, let's come back at 4:50. You guys, we have some snacks for you, and there is some tea and coffee in the back if you want. And afterwards is where we need all of your attention, or you need all of your attention, because Mauna is gonna do a live demo. So you're gonna follow along and file your own taxes.
But honestly, it might be beneficial if you're not filing today, you might wanna like take certain notes, but it'll be really helpful if you're filing today, so.
Yeah.
There is only one sister here.
Yeah,
You're the only one,
just
right?
sister.
Sounds good. I was going to, I'm not sure.
Oh, also, okay, great.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we'll walk
remember.
through And then inshallah, if you have any questions, if I can help. The same with your daughter too, I don't know, you said your baby girl needs to file.
Yeah, I told her no, but I have to let.
Like she was right. Yeah, she can use the software that we're gonna.
Okay.
Try.
Right, we're really crunched for time, huh? Because today is only the
Yeah.
12th.
Yeah, we're almost there.
12th, so I was in the post office this morning. It was long line.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, so we gotta be very careful. 50 is
But the good thing, one thing that's good to know, you probably don't need it this year, but the IRS cares about the postmark date. So if your tax return is, like, say for whatever reason you have to mail it, as long as it's postmarked on the 15th, then you're good. So that's just a little insider tip. Sometimes people aren't eligible to file for whatever reason.
There was a case last week. For the first time since we did it for 2 months, we've been telling people who are on visa or green card is fine, but any type of visa, they can't do online for free. But IRS allows free filing via mail. So those are the type of change. Yeah.
But we basically did it manually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so please feel free to take some snacks. Anytime. You need all of your focus.
The time get to know each other,
And we have a rec room in the back as well.
If anyone wants to make it out, also, it's another recording. Possible.
Event compliance, various diligence for understandings, when qualified for the event, standards, anything you got for income. So the rules and taxes, wherever you decide for rental or home or anything, they ask, oh, you have to prove three types of income of the rent. So suppose if it is 2,000 rent per month, I should prove myself that I am making per annum $60,000. So last year we applied for a houses, we picked them online, and we submitted online application, $300. They did consumer background, credit check, criminal history background, everything good. And at the end, they say proof of income. So we put 3 last page down. And you all last page, research commission based. So they said, now give us the back street.
Right now, I am.
So, okay, we are withdrawing our application. They said, okay, you are withdrawing our application. Okay, fine. But your application fee, $300 gone to the training. Again, this year, we are trying to get hold of in the one of my neighbor he was also getting out. And he said, you know what I do? I don't know. With the what is something for 1099. I said, okay, which 1099? So he said, Google, find out 1099. And I went into mine, there were 18 kinds. Then I again said, Mr. V, there were 18 kinds of 1099. He said, okay. What you do is pick up 1099K. And then I said, okay, if I pick up 1099K, and he said, and here put your information, and they will qualify your application, and they will not ask. I said, okay, they will tax return. Oh, tell them now you did not file your tax return this year. I said, okay, they know it is. They will not ask me my bank statement. No, you tell them you don't have any bank.
Some will not, but some will. You don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know.
So this is the situation that we are badly stuck and we are like I did my NPA as like project. How we are surviving is my levels. We are just back in the side. So that's how we are surviving. And we are paying our rent in time. Everything is good. We want to get out from this apartment. I'm in a process of struggling to find a job. So if I am 1099 or Vista or
Well, you can, I cannot.
I know.
You cannot.
Of course, of course.
You just have to find.
You are a professional.
You just
I'm
have to find
fine.
it all.
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody.
What is that?
No, there's. That doesn't. I know other naive people who invest, okay, or they don't follow it. And I get it, that's their business.
Yeah.
Then they have to keep thinking about it, right?
Then there are 400 hours. They keep 60,000 and they keep moving on. They are not seeing consistency.
So what is their secret?
But it's kind of the secret, but everybody can be the way is like, okay, put your base stuff, put your 1099, do this, do that, but
You should not be.
they ask you for actually, basically the thing is coming.
Because in fact, you said I had to work and I would be. Had to present.
So
But you're self income and here I'm using. And so I cannot, but back then I had to meet. Yes, but I don't know any man longer, so.
What is this 1099 for just for the
Then I
just
get
for the
it.
purpose of making them like okay, I'm making 50,000. I'm making
No,
40,000.
is not really income, it's more if you charge, let's say you're driving an Uber and somebody pays by credit.
I don't have a interest in it. It's very second.
It's nothing to do with income, as far as I know. It's not income.
Only the pay stub is a proof of it.
The 10, yes. No, the proof of income, yeah, pay stub could be proof of income for them, or 1099 agency, or W2. Those are the most common. I cannot think of it.
It's like, where 50 is 40 inside.
Yeah, I wish I knew.
It's like, I remember when I was running.
was doing his first job.
So you just have to keep.
Yeah.
If somebody is willing to just issue you, but they're gonna take a risk. And just try.
I'm gonna break.
I think it's so I still finding my tax return, my previous tax guy. He's the
Well,
it's a from India. So he issued me he issued like the placement credit. Yes, I stuck there.
Except yourself. Yeah, that's the problem. Because I think people were doing that before. Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
No, I'm gonna. Remember when we said it for them of, So while they came on, I forgot, I remember sending it to email.
Exact side, like I see.
It is not.
This is sometimes.
Also, you are expensive.
Yeah.
I was telling you
Yeah.
about yourself.
So
I didn't know, sorry.
I'm trying to recommend people to, speak with CPAs and also, get into these, investments vehicles as long as it's beneficial for their overall wealth plan, right? But, I wanted to make sure before I say, hey, let's go open an LLC, let's go do this, let's go do all that. Are you going to be able to, contribute into it? If your income was considered all not under, with an umbrella of an LLC. But coming here, I understood that the LLC availability doesn't necessarily affect your ability, to put it as business. Yeah,
Because you would be, but yeah, you need that.
yeah.
Yes, to see, zero.
Yeah, we have these guys.
So since like when you registered that obviously already placed you places. But it's not equivalent to like being in stuff and obviously just I didn't want to the store the parents business day. What's the first time that other the room to buy something on yes, and me and you contacts that you I it's like drop through and I was speaking. And it's always really very. So it's absolutely. So I'm a big proponent of. Yeah, it's agrees. But it has that having kept unless you're doing fast.
Yeah, but sadly, and your program, the bids and others is always the issue. I think that now that
I should have. Those plans.
Air.
Maybe like you get some of you, some ideas, how much, that would really, is that. You get to remove people that trying to find out the guidance, it's the social, sure, they don't know about it, us. Guys, I mean, good for. My first time, I remember people saying, you must be down, could you remember sleeping, I shy away from, hang on, so. This is the talking to me, that even also sort of. Like you're 16, so I don't, publish it. The bottom of the transition, right? I mean, it couldn't stop it and watch these. So, regardless of, that's just.
Assalamu alaikum, if you can see me. I'm trying to make you not see me. I'm trying to turn the camera off. Oh, so the camera is off.
Thank you. Advice. Keep the dream.
QR code, so you can just scan it with the phone. So if you want to color, it's a you can scan it each other. Do you like Instagram or Facebook? You can scan it.
What do you guys see on the screen?
The side.
It's free text. You okay? Great, thank you.
Function doing it, I'm about to do it. Only thing I'm coming up, yeah. So I'm not a beneficiary, but yeah, so please scan the QR code. So you can benefit from all of the programs. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is a Jew.
There was, yeah. But he already had, like, there was, I knew what that stuff I already, I had this, it's just finished. But he already had.
All right.
I just wanted to get myself better on the back, so that looks like. The fireman is, that would show up, so, you know, take the.
All right.
Don't work with. Here, the latest.
If there's anyone online, can you see my screen? Looks like we just have one person. Mona, if you're there, can you hear me?
Looks like your career.
Oh.
Look. See your money. Being support. Whether you're consider one of the pitch. You want. So, since. Since that against. Possible. That this is like the same action, especially in the chat box. That not free. So, I so much when I say it. They really should appear over time. I just something in this area. I say, right? It's due to some accounting has no setting. You have to have 30 accounting hours. Yeah, so you take 4 measures. And then you need to work on your CPA for. So you 1 year, 2 years, it's half a month. No, right now I'm working with Merrill Lynch. And then it's last year to be. So first one, I want to. You're covering 30 hours, who doesn't have time classes, so you probably have 2 or 3 over here talking. The CPA exam and all this other things. It's very challenging, but there's a bunch of tax software, also the CPA studying someone, trying to get it also. Becker is one that I use, the CPA machine. And then they all work under a CPA and then just, yeah. It just, it takes, if you're asking me how long would it take? 2 or 3 years. It's, yeah.
Ladies that want to file today, have you guys set up a Free Tax USA account already? You did, you didn't? Do you mind doing that real quick? If you think you need help, I can do it, make it part of the presentation. Okay, it's pretty simple.
But I think, but I'm saying everybody's not. Okay. And it's not, and I would say money is not either to begin. That's the question. Money is in its capital interest. What this system of the business, just got to the but it's not one of those that so maybe not for like 5. Because like you pay this. Like for example, the starting pay would be 70 cost. I mean, if you're okay. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying, not that you pay a supplier, but we should do something starting with 70. And then, and this doesn't need to be a CPA, you can long to be doing a company. So we. Not bad. You will have $30 a month. Yeah. But it's better if you get a backer than a company that needs something worse. Because they want. So you can go to the website, Texas Board of Accounts, they will tell you, what is. You have 30 hours on. So I'm saying it's easier to do the degree, but if you don't want to, then you can just take 7, 8 more classes. Because those classes need you to learn business, because the exam is if you don't know accounting, there's no need to do the exam. Yeah. You have to go. Because the exam is on audit, remember this next what audit is, because it's on audit, it's on tax, it's on financials, it's also on business. But it's a short CPA right now. And so I would say one of these 5 years, 10 years, the pay may go up.
Alright, so. I think we're ready for the live demo. So if you guys are, can take a seat. Now to change to the.
No, so it's not working because it wants the social security number. I made it up. It wants a phone number, I made it up. So, I'm gonna,
Even work it?
yeah. What, do you have an email?
My own, which one, or you can do your own.
I have them, because I use this, so I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so let's do push them off. Yeah, push them off. That's fine.
Just no space?
Ah.
Bushra Mahmood, Mahmood.
Yeah, this one. This one. This one.
678. At Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alright, so we're gonna do the live demo right now. If you wanna wait for them to pay attention.
No, I don't, because you know why? The people who are doing it, I had them set their account up already, thinking that I didn't have to do this. Okay. So just the one person. All right. How you guys feeling about taxes? It's asking on the screen. How are you feeling about tackling your taxes? Confident, neutral, overwhelmed? Overwhelmed. I really hope that after today, you don't feel as overwhelmed, inshallah. And if you do, you know, you have Bushra and I's information. If you find yourself, you know, frustrated this tax season or needing a little bit extra help even after today, please feel free to reach out to us, inshallah. All right, so we're going to put overwhelmed because that's what most of us are feeling. And did anybody here file a 2023? You guys did, you filed 2023? So this would be the easiest way to file your taxes is to import your 2023 because it literally takes away like 60% of the work that you have to do. It'll take your name and your social and your address and your dependents. It takes everything. But for this, I don't have my 2023 with me. Did I even? Y'all don't care about that. I think I need to file my 2023 still. But so we're gonna go through as if we're not gonna import that information. But if you're on your own and you're doing this, I would recommend to import it because it does make this process a little easier. So we're gonna put the
When you import it, does it like pre-populate everything for you? Okay.
yes. That's why I'm like, if you can do that because it really is a game changer. Pretty self-explanatory. It tell you about yourself. One thing that I like about this and why I started using this in 2008. A CPA actually told me about it because I had such a simple return. And she's like, you could pay me or you could do it yourself. And so I've been doing this on my own since 2008, as well as for my friends and family members. And one thing that I like about this is it's extremely user-friendly. They don't use complicated terms. They make it very easy, like you're just, you know, filling out any other kind of application, so to speak. And they also have these little question marks that sometimes are really helpful if you're confused about something. So I'm just gonna fill out my name, occupation. That social won't get you anything, so don't try to copy it down. It's a fake number. Just kidding, we're all Muslims. I don't think anybody's trying to scam anybody here. Main Street. Oops, not Houston. Q. The ladies who are following today, do you guys have W-2s or 1099s or what do you have?
I have a W two, but it tells me in license that it won't support because my spouse is an alien. He's still living here, so I can't use his helper.
That would be correct. You know what, we might be able to use it, but you can't e-file. You all have to print it. And so remember, we were talking about that earlier. Why do some people have to this? That's one of the reasons. Yeah, it might be one of those. But we'll see.
Words, and unfortunately, you're not able to use this on stuff.
Oh, okay.
I normally if I with my CPA, so maybe I should just continue doing that.
Yeah, that you might, I mean, is it just you and does your husband have a W-2 also? Go ahead, sorry.
No.
Does he live in the United States?
He lives in another state.
Yeah, I mean, but you guys are filing joint?
Married filing separate.
Married filing separately. Okay, yeah, I don't understand
Why?
why she has to,
Yeah, exactly. Why?
He's Canadian, just it's a little complicated, so that's just what we're told.
well, no, why is the software telling her that she can't file?
Is that what, can I see?
Yeah,
Well, why don't you continue your demo and then?
okay. Oh, sister, do you see this question? Can a parent or someone else claim you as a dependent on their tax return? That's the whole question that I was talking about. So if your daughter, if you do claim her, and she needs to file also, she would indicate that here. If not, if she forgets if she forgets, because it wouldn't be you, both of y'all tax returns will get held up.
US.
Yeah, it's important. It's
Over $5.
if she made over 5,000, I believe it's 5 or 6, I'd have to check, but, you can't claim her. She's gonna have to file on her own.
So, yeah.
They double check information like socials, which is really good because if your social security number is wrong, that's another holdup that you're gonna have. And actually, it'll be rejected. They won't even accept the return. It'll get rejected.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about filing statuses. Does anybody have any other questions about your filing status before I move on? Okay, I'm gonna put married filing joint.
Just curious. Do you have like a test email that you're using for this?
So that's the thing we did last time. And then I forgot the password. And then it's in order to reset the password, it's like, well, what's the social? I made that up too. So I don't know.
So you just had to do a new.
So I had to do a new one. But this time I remembered the stuff that I put in. Okay.
So you just had to have like a new email, right?
Yeah, just a new email. Yeah. I'm gonna make up a last name, but my husband's name really is Lewis. I'll put uh-oh, what happened?
See what? Start doing, hit tab. Yeah.
Technical difficulties. Did I like do some sort of keyboard lock or something? Oh, you know what? It says initial. You can only type one letter there.
Okay.
I hope you guys aren't paying attention because that was super embarrassing.
Okay.
Okay.
So these questions, that sister was having some trouble with these, so maybe.
Oh, we should go over which one?
Well, okay, yeah, this one.
Is
this
it
person.
this a
That's the
non-resident?
question she was confused on. So the answer is yes, he does have a green card, so then this is, the answer is yes.
He is
Oh,
a not,
sorry, no.
no,
Sorry, the answer is
right.
no.
Yeah, okay. So it lets you, you're good, you continued? Okay, perfect. All right. So have you added your spouse in there? Okay, sister? Okay. Okay, but did you add yourself, your information? Okay, great. So once we add ourselves, our spouse, and we go on to dependents, do either one of you have any children? Okay, so I'm gonna skip it. Does anybody else want me to go through the dependent process? I don't mind to see what it looks like. We'll just do it real quick. It won't take long. Yeah, it won't take long. Okay. You just add your child's name. I'll do my oldest, Abdullah. Their social, their date of birth. Can't believe I'm gonna have a 20-year-old. I need to talk about that. Great. Just that easy, just their name or social. They're gonna have you verify the social, which they do every time you put a social security number in here. And then ask you some questions about your dependent. And this is even if your parent is a dependent, you're gonna add them if you take care of your parent. You know, uncles, nieces, nephews, whatever. If they're in your care, your custody, they're your dependent, and you can add them on here.
And you get a smaller tax deduction. Well, actually, yeah, it's smaller than a child tax credit, though, yeah.
Did he live with you all of 2024? Yes. He's trying to move out. Is he disabled? No. Did he provide more than half of his own living expenses? I wish. Are his parents Bono and Lewis? Yes. Is he married? No. Is he a U.S. resident, national, or resident of Canada or Mexico? Yes. All pretty straightforward. Not 5 months. If you have a student, if you have a child that's a student, they often ask about that. You know, you can take deductions for their interest, right? Their student loan interest, if they
And so,
have that.
sister, remember you had a question about independent, right there, that's where the answer is. You see, did Abdullah make more than 5,000?
Mhm.
So if your daughter made more than 5,000, she's not your dependent.
Okay,
That's the number.
thank you.
Okay. And this, if you look up at the screen, the software is really good about that too. If you answer the questions properly, it's going to let you know, like the sister was like, it stopped me and it's designed to do that. It's not going to let you send something messed up to the IRS for the most part. It's going to let you know, hey, this doesn't add up. And even you'll see when we get to the income part, because Texas is one of the only states, I don't even know of another state that doesn't have state income tax, but the software is for all states. So it's going to say, hey, where's your state tax information? And you just know that's one thing you can ignore because we live in Texas and we don't have that. But yeah, that's another good thing about this software. All right, so we'll just add him. We'll pretend like the other two kids I have don't exist. This question here, identity protection pin. Usually the answer is no. But if you do have one, you know, you're going to make sure you indicate it here. But unless it's a very specific thing that you would have to do with the IRS, so you're going to know about it, but just make sure you put no here. And it's different from your, what is it called? To file, the pin to file. So
Oh, yeah, the pin.
yeah, so the identity protection pin is different from the pin to file your tax return, which we'll see at the end. Okay. If you've set up your account recently, I would absolutely put a phone number on here and get it verified, because it makes it easy if you get locked out of your account. This is something that you're going to look at once a year. So it's easy to forget your password and stuff. So just make sure you have like even a backup email, because yeah, been there. They do offer extra protection. I've never used it personally, and I've been using this almost 20 years. But they do have it so that you can pay $7, $8 to have audit protection. So like we have CPAs here, they would have a CPA on call for you if in the case that you were audited or something. Again, I can't vouch for it because I've never used it. Yeah, let's move on from that. So now we're going to start working on the income, which is one of the biggest parts of doing your tax return, is indicating your income. We're going to do a W-2 and we're going to do a 1099. So you can see what it looks like entering those in. So I'm going to, of course, stop me at any point.
It's just asking if when your spouse like jointly owned property or if he just received income, like it's It says generally community property incomes, community property salaries, wages for services, real estate, so there's only salaries, wages you earn, that's a yes.
No, that's for a property. Like,
First part, during marriage. So that's community income, right? You're like, income is. whatever
Income is
It's community, right, Texas?
maybe, no,
Is it Texas property state?
it is.
oh, okay.
It is. But what is I have to see your question
Yeah.
because I don't know what it. I'm sorry, I don't need to get your personal space. I'm blind. Okay. Following separate returns. Good for me and parts. We change the income to be evenly to be. No matter who made the income. Do you have community property income? Or is it in a community property state? So yes, I get salary. But you guys don't have anything that you own together. No, yeah, then you don't have to worry. Okay. This is another really great feature I like about this. To enter it manually, you can do that, or you can upload the PDF, or you can take a picture. I don't have one, so I'm gonna just do a manual one. But if you were to take a picture, you just scan the code, you take a picture, and it reads it. I would just quickly verify the numbers and make sure that the numbers match. They usually do, but I would just look at it again because computers are computers, they're not people, and they can make mistakes. So this is going to be a little weird because I don't have one to look at, but the first box is going to be the employer identification number. And the way this is set up here is also the way that it looks on your actual W-2. So the employer ID is going to be at the top and then the address and like that. Just going to make up some numbers.
Is there a section where you can like upload W credit or the street, all that information for you?
Is there a what'd you say? I'm sorry.
Where you, is there
Yeah.
where you can just upload W credit?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. On the previous screen, it asked you can upload the PDF or you could take a picture of it and it refills it for you. So I'm going to say Versofa, even though I don't. Okay, so these boxes, you're going to get it right from your W-2, how much money you made. You'll sometimes see that the wages and the Social Security wages might be different numbers. You want to make sure you enter them exactly the way they are on your W-2. And that just is because they tax it differently. So they might tax your actual wages at a certain rate versus the Social Security wages. It's just, it doesn't matter. Tax it. Let's say they made 23,000 and then they took out 500. This is definitely going to give us some sort of error because these are all percentages and I'm not following the rules, but this is just for the sake of, yeah. This box 12 here is one that people skip sometimes because it's the way that it looks on a W-2. So just make sure you check that box in the middle. If you have a W-2 with you, make sure you check in the middle to see if there's anything, because it could be from like a letters A to Z for box 12 and you're going to indicate it here on the screen.
Because some of these are, if your employer is paying for your health insurance, it will show here. I think the code is like D something.
Mm-hmm. 401k.
401k contributions will show up here, so
Yeah.
it's important to put it there. Probably doesn't impact the taxes, but advisable to put it.
Yeah. And if you have a retirement plan or whatever, you indicate that here, and I'm on W-2 usually say that. And if you look here, this is the state information. We're going to leave it blank because we don't have anything. We don't have any state taxes. And this is going to ask you if it's a standard or a non-standard, or if it's a corrected. We'll hit save and continue, and it should give us an error message. Well, it's having us check the social. Okay. Your W-2 might have too much social security tax withheld. So again, this happened because I made up a whole bunch of numbers. They don't make sense, but it's good to see this because if you get this message, it might, you might want to check and see if the numbers match what's on your W-2 and you still get this message, then just ignore it. It's not going to stop your progress from filing. Does anybody have any questions? Am I going too fast? Am I making sense? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Just when you can upload the W-2, can you upload, like your 401k statement and your, the, what's that say, the health benefits summary? I forgot what they.
The
Health tax
1095, the health tax statement. For that one, you wouldn't need to upload it because it's like just a couple questions they ask you about it. But the other things, if it's a 1099 or whatever, you'll be able to scan it. Like it'll give you that option too. Okay, so if you look down, not this one, not this one, that's 1099 for unemployment, Social Security, retirement, taxable state, business, and rental income. So if you have a 1099, this is where you're going to indicate it here. 1099 NEC and form miscellaneous, K, and like that. So let's go ahead and do one. And if you notice here, it already put, I would have had to put my name and my address again, but it already filled it out for me because I put it on a different screen just to make things go a little easier. And let's say I made $3,000 from Uber. And they don't normally take out income tax. I'm not putting
Yeah, they
anything, yeah, I'm not gonna put anything there.
So then you're paying it all now. So let's say if you made a lot of money with Uber, that's why we were talking about making those quarterly payments to not have penalties and interest
Yeah,
at the end when you're filing your taxes like now.
exactly.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So like, I have my job and then I have two businesses. So I'm gonna be on here, I'm able to do it all together, cause usually I file it all together.
Yes.
That's how I'm able.
You're gonna do each business individually. Yep. And it's this screen here. I'll show you. Yeah. That's just let me know that the number I put in was fake. I don't have to worry about that. Just put ride sharing. That's what Uber and all that is ride sharing. Sometimes you might get more than one from the same person. Like for those who do Uber and Lyft and stuff, all that, they sometimes will give you more than one. So you want to make sure you indicate, all of them on here. And this is where you would start to put your expenses for the business if you're self-employed doing Uber or whatever the case may be. You can put your expenses that you had. I'm gonna put no because it gets really, really technical. And I can help you guys individually if you need help. But yeah, that's where you would indicate that here. So it's asked, yes. What is it? I'll tell you if I can help. I might be able to.
My distribution. That's your numbers.
Do you have your form?
I do.
And it's not on the form? It should be on your form. Yeah, I would ask the CPA. I don't know why they would do that. Yes, please. Is this business effectively connected with the conduct of trade or business within the United States? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't even know what that means. Oh, she has another question, but before you answer her,
My CPA.
before you answer her question, can, this, no, just real quick, this connected to the conduct of trade or business with the United States, I don't know what that means. Are you,
Basically, if it's happening in the US.
okay, I just wanted you to get further. I know that you have to put yes. I just didn't know like specifically what that was. So it's just asking, do you conduct your business here in the US? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Are you providing services to a former employer that are substantially the same as when you were an employee? Another one, I don't really know what it means. We're just gonna put no. Doubt that that applies.
If you want to step
Sorry, I just feel weird talking while they're talking. I'm just gonna wait.
So.
So for this part, the qualified business income deduction, you see it already gave a standard one. But if I would have went and indicated more things like my mileage and all that stuff, I just put no to just to make the process go by faster because we were supposed to be done at 5:30. But because I didn't indicate that it has a standard that it gave me. You can, it will all, let's say I did go through the process and put all the information in, and the deduction that I would have gotten based off of what I put in was 2,500. It's gonna tell you, hey, do you want to take your 2,500 deduction or do you want to take this 2,788 deduction? It's gonna give you that choice, and obviously, you know, we want to take the better one, but they will give you the choice to do that on here.
Well, yeah.
And that is adding the 1099. We're done with income unless you have other kinds of income that you would have to indicate on here. Some of them from saving, investments and savings, some other common ones. Rental income, we see farm income. I don't think I've ever had a farm one, but it's all here for you to indicate. We'll move on to deductions. Oh, cryptocurrency. Did you sell, receive, exchange any cryptocurrency during 2024? Has anybody ever done that here? I'm just curious. Yeah, no, me either. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. This is about deductions from previous years, so we're just gonna skip it because this is not gonna apply to us. And then it gives you a summary of all the income that you made. We just made up some stuff here. But if everybody notices at the top, as you go, it calculates what your refund's gonna be. So this could change because it's based off more information, but one thing that I really do like about it, as soon as it gets the numbers, it starts doing the work and starts calculating for you. Oops. And now we're gonna go to deductions. So they ask you here, are you a homeowner? Do you have a 1098 mortgage interest, property taxes? Did you make a donation? Out-of-pocket medical expenses, taxes paid, investment interest paid, disaster casualty and thefts, and other itemized deductions. This section here is to itemize your deductions. So if you have the proof of your mortgage interest and the taxes you paid and your medical bills and all that, and you want to itemize, this is where you would do that. However, if you don't want to do that, like most people, which most people don't, on a regular 1040, your personal, most people do not itemize deductions. It's fine if you do, you just have to have your documents to do that. But if you don't, you just put continue and it's going to give you the standard. The standard deduction is best for you, 29,200. So people who might have, let's, you know, have paid more than that, then they might want to try to itemize to get a better deduction, but very rarely will you get better than the deduction that they're offering. health insurance from the marketplace. They only care if you have it through the marketplace, which is through the government. Does anybody have that situation? No, okay. So I'll leave that alone.
If it is yes, then,
If it's yes, it's gonna ask you,
so the return that we get from the marketplace, we gonna enter that amount, right?
yes,
Yeah,
It's a 1095A form. I think.
yep.
yeah.
And you can't file without it.
So is that only for marketplace?
Yes.
Oh,
Is there any tax benefit for like having that insurance in the marketplace?
I don't know about any tax benefit. No, it's just cheaper coverage.
Well, what could happen is let's say you told them, oh, my income is 50,000, and then they gave you a credit towards, because whatever that health insurance cost is, they give you a tax credit based on your income. Let's say your income was 50, but then let's say it jumped to 100,000. So they gave you a higher credit based on your 50,000, but then if you made 100, now you will have to pay them back for the overage.
So if you do
So that's
get
why you have to show this.
if you do get healthcare insurance through the marketplace and your situation changes throughout the year, you want to let them know to avoid that.
For your 1099 gives, so you should. It's not allowing me to. 99.
Oh, you can enter manually.
Yeah. But that's good to know because I've never even tried to enter it the other way and it just won't let you. Oh, that's good to know. Mm.
Yeah, but you
Oh, I think it's gonna make me because I put yes, but I meant to put no. You see here, it's mentioning the premium tax credit. That's what he was talking about. They're gonna give you, if you file through the marketplace, they're gonna give you your credit. But when you go to file your taxes, if the information is different than what you indicated to them, then you could owe. And we've actually seen that this year. People owe because of just this reason right here. No college expenses. Okay. No student loans. No teacher expenses. My husband is a teacher, so I usually do have to fill this out. See here, they said about earned income credit. They calculate it for you. So if you were eligible for it based off of your income and your dependents, they would calculate it for you and tell you what it was on this screen. I don't have it. They're telling me because my kid wasn't young enough, but yeah. Here, well, let's just go back and see. I just wanted to show you guys. For each section here that you fill out on Free Tax USA, if the section that you're filling out requires a form with your tax return, it shows you here at the bottom, or actually here it's right at the top. So you can click view to see the tax return, see the tax form that they filled out for you based off of your information, and that will be sent to the IRS on your behalf. I just wanted to bring it up and show you what it looked like to see that they are doing their job. Did you make your home more energy efficient? No. Carry over or forfeit any benefits? No. If you get these questions about carrying over or forfeiting benefits, you're gonna know. Like the IRS is gonna tell you. So just put no if you know that doesn't apply to you. Another one that people all ask me about a lot is they say the disallowance question. Have you received something that says you're not allowed to claim? And they're like, have I? You would know. You would absolutely know. So you don't have to worry about that. If you paid for childcare, you can indicate that here. It asks you how much you paid and who you paid it to, and then you would get a credit. Those days are long over for me. Alhamdulillah, my baby is 14, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it was very helpful when I was paying. It was one point we had 3 kids in daycare, and our daycare bill was more expensive than our rent. Like it was just bad. So alhamdulillah. Health savings account. If you have anything like that, you would indicate that here. These are just other deductions and credits, which are ways to lower your tax liability, to reduce the amount you owe, and to increase your refund. We had one guy this year, he bought a fuel efficient car, like he bought remember Bushra, the guy with the electric vehicle? He was gonna owe money. And because he bought that car, he ended up getting a refund. So if you do any of those things throughout the year, make sure you keep that information so you can indicate it on your tax return, inshallah. And honestly, that's pretty much it. It's now it's gonna ask some miscellaneous questions. 2004 estimated tax payment. This is what Brother Ali was talking about earlier, because you can do estimated taxes on your personal income taxes too. It's not just for business. If every year, you make $500,000 and you're for sure going to owe, we want to pay that, quarterly to prevent the big amount due at the end of the year. And also, like I mentioned before, they want their money on time. 4/15, they want the money that is owed to them. So if not, you will be charged interest and penalties. This is a way to make sure that doesn't happen by paying quarterly once you have a tax liability, or you're going to have a tax liability at the end of the year. Here's if you wanted to create a identity protection pin. Remember that question it had asked in the beginning? You could do it here, right here where it says identity protection pin. And then this refund maximizer, I never do it. Now, this is from someone who's been using this for 20 years. It asks you the questions it already asked you. It's going to be like, we're going to maximize, but it doesn't ask you anything that it didn't already ask you. So I always skip it. But check for your documents, just reminding you to have the documents that you need. And that's it. It gives you a summary of everything that they did. If you click here, view, it shows you your tax return and all of the forms that were filed with it. Excuse me.
Put this for 98 for education.
There should be a section. It should be part of deductions, I think.
Yeah, interest, student loan interest, I think.
No, she's talking about 1098. That's like you're paying for school, right?
Yeah,
The tuition or the student loan interest?
that's scholarship,
Uh,
which is taxable.
So it's going to be under common deductions credits, and do you see personal at the top, income, and then deductions credits?
Oh, okay, I guess that's
yeah.
complicated. So I'll go to where, I'll go to deduction rates, okay.
And then if you scroll down under common deductions and credits, they have the college tuition, 1098T, or the student loan interest, 1098E. It says continue to state tax return. Did you live in Texas all the year, the entire year? Yes. No, I didn't make any money in any other states. We do have situations where people might have lived in Texas only part of the year, or they have income in the other parts of, they make money outside of Texas. If that's the case, you're going to need to indicate that here, and this program will help you prepare your out of state, your other state tax return. The one thing about this though, excuse me, is it charges for the state tax. It doesn't charge you to file your federal, but if for whatever reason you have to file a state tax return for a different state, it charges $14.99, which is still really, really cheap compared to, compared to other, what other people charge.
Yes.
By your employer, do you need to select, like, made any contributions or?
No.
So, no?
Well, but did you make IRA contributions? But did you make? If you made it, no, your employer wouldn't do IRA for you. They would do 401k.
Oh, it's 85, but I need to put my own separate.
401k is separate, IRA is separate. I think this brother can probably explain it better, but right? Like 401k is like your employer is giving you tax-free you're able to reduce your taxable income, right? So you just but that's already reflected in your W-2, the deduct because it reduces your taxable income. So your box one or W-2 will already be reduced by the 401k contributions. And then the IRA is separate.
So we're getting $76. Yay, we get some food. The final steps are just asking you if you want to file. You can add audit defense, deluxe support. They can you can select for them to mail you a physical copy or to a bound copy of your tax return, which I feel like is super extra, but it's available.
Generational, I
Who
think.
needs
Some
that?
people like paper.
We don't want your audit defense. And the last part, they're going to ask you how you want your refund, if you're getting one. Direct deposit's always the best because it's the fastest. Paper check is going to take months. I've never used this get your refund 5 days sooner with the debit card. I wish I could give you because I'm like so gung ho about telling people about this site. It's so helpful, but I have never used it. So I can't give you any recommendation on whether it's good or not, but this site itself is good. Oh, oops. And then you would just indicate, oh, actually, we do need to go through this. Actually, I'm going to put check so that you don't cancel. Cancel. Okay. So we're going to put that we want to check, even though we don't. I want you to see this next screen here. Not this one. Send your phone number to the IRS. That's fine. Invalid social security number. Okay, so it's not going to take me to that screen because I put in a fake social security number. Let me just make up a different number and see if it'll, because I want to show you guys something specific. Okay. But if I just made this like that, would you trust me then? Let's see. Oh, just kidding. How do you know? All right. So let's go back to these final steps. Okay, none of these are important. They're just because all the information that I made up. So we don't have to worry about that. This is where you can view your final return. You can print it. It won't have those. When I pulled it up the last, oh, it will have it. Okay, I guess you'll see that after. I'll show you. E-file. This is where you're going to indicate that you want them to send it electronically. If not, you can select mail your return and you can print it, but you really don't want to do that unless you have to. I'm going to put no that I didn't file a tax return last year because if I don't, it's not going to let me file. If you filed a tax return in 2023, when you go to file for 2024, you have to have your adjusted gross income for last year or your PIN. And if you don't, you can't file. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So your PIN, you have to do it every time you file. You create a 5-digit PIN. And it's important because you're going to need that number for next year. And I always make it the same thing. Ever since 2008, I've been making my PIN the same exact thing, and it's the last 5 digits of my social security number. And I would suggest you do the same thing just for consistency purposes, just to say, okay, I know what this is. I've helped other people. They've made it something else. They said they were going to remember and they didn't. And that's a headache for when you have to file your taxes the next year. If you don't remember your PIN or you don't have access to your adjusted gross income, you have to go through the IRS. It's a headache. So even if this is not the last 5 of your social, just make it something that you will not forget, something that, and I would make it the same every single year because they're going to make you do this every year you file. I just make it the same number each time. And if I were gonna file this would be the spot where we would do it. You wanna put text me, because they'll send you a text message to let you know, hey, the IRS accepted your return, the IRS rejected your return. And then send tax return. But I'm not gonna do that because I definitely don't want any of this being sent to the IRS. In the event that your tax return is rejected, don't be alarmed. It happens sometimes for just simple reasons. Like for instance, mine was rejected 1 year because one of my kids' social security numbers, I transposed the numbers. The name didn't match. Like the middle names were transposed. Let me see, what was another? I think those are the only reason why I had them rejected personally, but yeah. So if it's rejected, just take a look at the reason, try to correct it and resend it. You can do that about I think the IRS can reject your return 5 or 6 times before they make you paper file. So if you get an e-file rejection like 5 or 6 times, they're like, no, sorry, you can't do this. You need to send us a paper one. But I've never seen that. So does anybody have any questions for me? No? Did you guys find this helpful? You can be honest. It won't hurt my feelings. Okay. All right, great. We really appreciate you guys coming out today. Inshallah, this will help you in the future. Inshallah, next year, if you know people that need help, we want to do this. This is our first year. So next year, inshallah, we'll be doing it again. And if you know people who need help or who could benefit, small business owners or people who are just starting, young college students who've probably never looked at a tax return before, things like that, please make sure you let them know about us and tell them to check us out next year to see how we can help. So thank you guys.
Not use free taxes, like
That's a really, really good question. People with not citizens. So if you're not a citizen, they're not going to let you file electronically. Let me think of another reason. Yes, because then that would, if your spouse is an alien, yes. Non-residents. So people who make money here in the United States, but they're not residents of the United States, they still have to file a tax return. Those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Excuse me?
This is free e-filing for business individual.
Individuals. Yeah. And this does free e-filing for individuals. Yeah. And if you have business stuff to indicate on your personal return, you can indicate it here, but you can't prepare a business return with this software, unfortunately. Not yet anyway. So yeah. Any other questions for me or CPAs while we still have them here? So the smart one.
Money, how do you? draw it?
That's a really good question too. It would be available. So like where it asked me, where do you want your refund sent? It would just say, how do you want to make your payment? All right. Well, thank you guys. If for whatever reason also you need to amend your tax return, this software is extremely helpful because you can't e-file amended returns, but it will prepare it for you. So you go in, tell them what you need to amend, all that, and then you can print it and send it to the IRS. So. Oh.
Were you able to file?
They started during the last weekend when they came for their new year.
Oh, okay.
You gonna try to finish up? Yeah, I think the last came on board.
This is were you able to file? Or
Yes.
I'm still going on.
Well, yeah, that's her. Like. You can sit here and look at it. Please take your, we wanted to say thank you.
Okay.
Scan the QR code, so SOBA has many programs that are beneficial, that are helpful. So in order to stay informed, please scan the QR code and join the social media. I actually wanted to talk to people individually and see how did you hear about this event? So inshallah we can continue informing people on that platform. So may I ask how did Facebook? Facebook from Sunrise too?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, which?
WhatsApp.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And you got?
What's in group, I think, some sister shared it on it.
It's okay. So what's that? Got it. And your brother?
That one was good.
Couple much, then I think a couple of people left. I think I from the announcement group. Yeah, SOPA announcement group. Okay. So yeah, please follow us, SOPA, and they have Mothers Collective, Sister Fathers Collective, and then for young professionals who aren't married, we have a lot of educational free programs to have our support network groups with professionals who are like-minded and who you feel welcomed with and don't have to deal with racist people and whatever's going on. So have your community and you feeling well. So thank you for joining.
I mentioned to them too, we should all mention this next year, so if they know anyone.
Yeah.
But that would be good, I should have mentioned the scan the QR code so that you can see and formally share it with other people.
Yep. That's good. All right, thank you.
Gotcha connection, thank you so much. Very nice meeting you.
So if I have people that for the
So that,
I already have connected by the video, which you know, second, we have one, two, and it's my area.
Oh, yes, yes, okay.
Well, you bring flowers or the revelation.
Oh, coach. Things only used morning. So, and then we were all using it for them.
No, that's.
So, yeah.
Waiting in front of you. We're living in the US, that's just.
This is something what they don't see.
As soon as you like, I just, they can go down. And I'll say, so, yeah, the whole range is for most of their expenses.
It's not like, you're using the phones, thank you so much for putting this.
It's always it starts small, you have this cases, it's not, that's also something else, that's the coffee shop, then you can give them this experience.
Yeah, but when you get to US, obviously, then you kind of programming that always are.
You can play at 300 or so, but seriously, what happens, now it's like, oh, you're screwed. Now it's the same money, which is your zone area, so I don't find that. So like,
So more information we can towards them.
There's a guy, he does it with an extra does it already. But.
No, I mean, sorry, I actually realized that.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, guy with that plus two.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, all of it's just.
Okay.
Your,
I mean, I
your
still have
kind of helps. Then
stuff going forward.
Just yesterday, it's like, I don't know what came here, but I'm really civilian conflict. It's for that. So what they're which is that they only 0.3% there. So that's 6 times, so 6, but they don't have a physical break of water, it's the wings of their someone. So that's what I'm saying, I can tell you, it's just not with, it's going to make them.
No, you want to know?
Barely.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So, yeah, I have a connection, that's yes.
Look, actually, I have to write my personal number on the. We put it.
Oh, we can have the pictures in that side.
No problem.
Oh, okay, so this.
So what time you be thinking that she or this?
Oh, we can do the tax app.
Okay.
We can do the tax app.
It's going to proceed.
What was the tech stack? Oh, that's when it's more.
It's just another software.
Yeah.
That is more complicated, but this is. To me, it's more complicated than which.
Yeah, because they use the three tabs.
Yeah.
So next year will be a different dynamic, maybe different team, different thought process, and how we do it.
Yes. So have you guys been doing every week, every week?
Every weekend, maybe.
Except it's funny day.
Oh, yeah, except for.
We can, yes, they will be.
Like in Ramadan, I think we skipped a couple of weeks, which is, because of, the last 10 days in it.
Yeah, I did the last one, because I was.
Oh, were you? Oh, okay.
I do it. Like that. And sometimes we alternate, I think what, 7 CPs, 6, 7 CPs, yes.
So they're around their missing so they're contributing. But we don't have a financial, I don't know, that's, we have lawyer. Wait, not this group, but Japanese, because Japanese is very active in this kind of thing. Bangladesh is probably active also. But we don't have a financial plan. We could, because we always have some electricity going on. But all the time, this thing. I live so not even 10 years to buy. I was looking, but I'm kind of just like today, the sister Susha was there. Today was doing the matrimonial. We're doing all day for them. So that was a very good event also.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then they have this pre-managed system called skin. Yeah. So there's so many things, but we don't have one for financial planning. So if you remove the selves, you're interested in me, by tunes.
Yeah, Trevor, I live in Sugarland, but I've driven up to where did I go?
Or
Somewhere, I've gone very north. I went to present at a school of Connections Academy. The separations are very new one. No, nobody came. Nobody went to the event, but that's one of but they invited me as, they asked, is there a financial, professional in Europe? I operated into this.
yeah, I'm never afraid of having a less presence because it's always the first time. The second time is open, they start getting to question that you can actually get you one out, you actually you can use some using the first time. You can work using close time, which you just do this. So never afraid of this. It's a little response. Yes.
Yeah, I presented a couple of times on the one time I actually with I think there's room you should be interested in business.
Okay, and if you don't
I
have
went to the University of Houston and yes, represented on like for
something like this or that.
like bank accounts, checking, savings, like that, right? So I presented to them like once. So what to look out for when you're looking back, I'll just.
I guess I need to when we watch my coffee cup. Yeah. Yeah, let's get first.
Yeah, well, it was
pleasure.
Yes, take people to take the day.
Yeah.
So okay for that.
Well, his presentation.
No, first, like, I love the presentation, very well put, very professional, like, interesting. Chill, let's see you guys.
Yeah.
Let's chill.
Yeah, so it's reasonable on this.
The word is reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what it means?
How much is your income? Yeah, imagine that's good for everything.
The 10 lanes are showing 11,000 from 300.
Right.
I'm like my pizza. I don't know. So my dad wanted to know that there was an option putting me to the spaces. I really.
Like a portion of it.
Yeah.
You can say like, okay, how much, so okay, for the year, how much is the rent? Maybe you can do 10%, right?
Oh,
Yeah, 10% of the total rent. Yeah. You don't go above that.
Nothing, that's all this is like a thinking.
So I don't really know that.
Sorry?
Michelle Strickland.
Oh, okay, okay. Yes, I was, oh, sure, I'm the thing. Yeah, let's set it up. Dear volunteer team, volunteers, yeah, can you please come over?
Oh, is that why she asked you?
Of course. Yeah, Donna, do you want to do it here? Yeah, or do you want to do it with the other system? For here.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
What's doing?
I think we want it all on the same team.
Yeah, and then they're married.
No, but-
Yeah, I want to have a picture of, giving you the gift as well.
This new age kid. Picture, and don't know. I can't keep up.
Okay, that picture when giving this, when they're giving us the, what to.
Good. No, she's you.
No.
No.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate everything you've done for the community, and it was amazing to have you join our team. Even though you joined late, you've been an amazing asset, and inshallah, we're looking forward to having you on our NBS team in next year.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is fantastic team to work with. I think this is great talent over here, great energy, great momentum going forward. I think I'll have to participate whatever I can. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she wants you to.
Oh my goodness, because
Well, listen, okay, so you be the picture, yes. There's wings. Come on. No, yes, you did, you can take it, come on. Come on.
Together.
So, yes, so you stand here.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's-
Go stand with your husband.
Yeah, and then you stand here, next to her, and then you two on that side, and then, yeah, that way,
Yeah,
yeah.
that way it's not
Halal, this is a halal phone.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Should we move a little bit more since?
Oh, shoes are coming? Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I need to take one horizontally too.
Yes.
Okay.
My college.
Yeah.
just I cannot hold my breath that long.
That should be good, anyway.
I thought it was a little bit.
Were you able to find your,
I got to go.
So how do we say like, so you're completing the project, right? So you must say recommendation for that, like, that for you.
Oh,
What?
for our graduation, right?
What did he say?
How can they recommend that? We've passed the,
Yeah.
they recommend us to graduate.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, I want to send you Ustad's phone number, and you tell her that.
Yeah, I mean, they should graduate with honors.
Give a comment to me, I forgot something. That don't have to say for your, for the stuff.
Okay, great.
So should we give them the seminary Asaba email
Yes.
or? Yes, so we have seminary Asaba email.
Put it in our group chat.
Yeah.
Put it in our group chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should take a picture of us.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I can take a picture of the sisters here, because you want to put it on your phone.
We still have all the sisters, but yeah. The sister is missing. Sister Ryan is missing. Oh, yes, please end the live.